Hey guys, welcome to my new video review for the game Uncharted 4. I'd really like it if we could make it to 15 likes this week. That would really mean a lot to me. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you leave a comment below and tell me your favorite Nathan Drake pose. My favorite pose is the one when he puts both hands on his hips, cocks his head to the side, and then winks at the screen. And if you really liked what I just said, make sure you hit that like button. My goal is 15 likes. Just wanted to remind you again, Uncharted 4 was a great game. I give it a 5 out of 5. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Damage Per Second podcast, week 21, 22. 21? 22.
Sure.
I think it's 22.
I think it's 22.
Yeah,
it's 22. Last week was 21, right?
Little do you know, 22 is one of the luckiest numbers dating back to when Arabic numerals were even created. I'm not sure why, but I read that in...
Oh, that's literally true.
It's literally true, and I read it in a history book that it must be true.
Justin's not talking out of his ass here. This is, I mean, scientists agree on it, all right? So if you have a problem with it, take it up with them and stop bugging my buddy Justin about it.
95% of all astronomers agree. Or is it astrology is the one that's garbage, right? 90% of all astrologers agree. Astrologers. Hey, so I would like to start with what I've been playing this week because it's been a long time since I've gotten to go first, and it means a lot to my self-confidence if maybe for once I can have the spotlight.
Just once?
So this week I am happy to say that I purchased Battlezone 98 Redux, and if you don't know what that is, if you remember way back in the day, the old Battlezone with the green lines, it was an arcade game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're in the tank. So in 98, I think it was Activision, back when it was just Activision, created Battlezone 98, and it was a 3D real-time strategy first-person shooter. So you were in a tank. You didn't have to be in a tank. You were just an astronaut with a gun, and you could get in tanks and scouts and turrets. You can get inside all sorts of different vehicles, and you, at the same time, controlled buildings called recyclers and factories and armories, and you could make weapons and you could make different vehicles with other pilots, and you had resource gathering, and based on your resources and the number of pilots available, you could make other stuff. It was really, really, really cool, and I was so happy to see that they re-released it because they redid all the texturing and stuff, and I was thinking about playing it on the podcast for tonight, but it's actually really
Sounds ahead
hard.
of its time.
Yeah, it was. It was way out of its time, and in fact, I really don't know of any other first-person shooter real-time strategies. And like the real-time strategy element wasn't super complex, but it was relatively simple. Like you had 3 production facilities, and you could make a menagerie of different units, but you could only have up to 10 offensive units and 10 defensive units, and that was it. And then you had utility units that, like tugs and scavengers to get resources and stuff. But it was really, really cool. I'd recommend you check it out. At least look at maybe some of the trailers if you haven't heard of it, and maybe next week I'll play it. But it's actually really hard, so that's why I didn't think I'd be able to podcast and play it.
Okay.
But it's really neat because I think it's real-time strategy for people that don't like real-time strategy, kind of like Brett.
What? I love it.
Just because it's hard to explain because it's more first-person shooter than it is real-time strategy. It's like the controlling of your units is really important, but it doesn't feel anything like traditional real-time strategy. But I really wanted to talk about it because it's just such a cool game.
What's the name of it again? Battlezone 98?
Yeah, Battlezone 98. And on Steam, it's Battlezone 98 Redux.
Let me get a peep at this baby.
And they redid the graphics. I mean, they didn't redo them. It's an HD remaster, so
Right, so it's not so, like, warped and whatever.
Yeah, it's polished. I mean, they polished it up. The textures look pretty good, but they still look very similar to how they did originally. So I'm actually really surprised at how good they got it to look. So that's pretty much that. I was trying out this new thing. You guys might not care that much about this, but I've been trying out this new mod for StarCraft called Heptacraft, and it's a how do I describe this? It's a melee multiplayer extension mod. So it's like they took the existing races and they made sub-factions for them.
Oh, wow.
So there's like 6 sub-factions and then one that's like based on the hybrid.
That seems like a huge project.
Yeah, I mean, apparently
shit.
it's been in progress for like 6 years, and it's very similar. If you guys have heard of Starbow, Starbow was created, and it had a big scene, not really anymore, but Starbow was StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 sort of mixed together. They added units and some mechanics from StarCraft 1, and they added them to to start and mix them together with StarCraft 2. So like Keith, they made it so like stalkers are more like a hit and run type thing rather than a core of your army.
Ooh,
but then
that's interesting.
they added dragoons from the first game, which are just like big tanky battle walker things, which if you're on the stream you can see them. I have them here, but it's really neat. And Heptacraft, it kind of builds on that, but it gives you more options because you have so many sub-factions. It's really, really cool. I'm actually putting a video out of it tomorrow where I do a replay cast, but I wanted to tell viewers about that in case they'd be interested. It looks really neat.
That sounds pretty awesome.
It is pretty fun. I'd recommend
I was
it.
on the ball with the StarCraft modding scene.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's not as big as it could be, and there's a small number of people that put in so much time and so much effort into so many cool things that just never gets seen by more than 100 people.
Yeah. It's good to have people like you fighting the good fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Deltrin, he does similar things that what I do, and he's talking about he hasn't played it yet. And I'm not one. I don't play much multiplayer at all. But after I watched the replay, I got really, really interested in it because I wanted to. I still don't know if I'll necessarily play it, but it's so cool looking that I loved watching the replay casts of it. So hopefully some more people will pick up some replays and check it out.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you, Justin. It's sort of tangential to what you're talking about. What is it like to be, or what is it like for you to be a part of a community that's like pretty niche and like is also kind of slowly dying too, since StarCraft is kind of like dying out? Because, well, I say that because I was thinking of myself, and I'm really like an adamant believer, or an adamant, I don't know, I just really love like Guitar Hero, but it's such a small community, and it's like really depressing every time I go and see just how little activity there is. But like, there's still those few people that are trucking on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was just curious what you felt about it.
It's interesting that you bring that up. I will say that the people that are still into it are really into it, and that's what's fun about it. And one thing that by playing and putting it on YouTube, one thing I've learned is there's more people interested in it than you would think. Because based on the number of views that I have, I get over 1,000 views within 2 days on a new StarCraft 2 video. That's 1,000 people that are interested in this that aren't on the modding websites, that aren't participating in the modding forums, but they're watching the content because they think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So, I think that says a lot. Guitar Hero is different, right? Because it's not really a modding scene, and it's kind of the same.
Well, there actually is kind of a modding scene because people will take songs and then make custom note charts to them, and there's like an actual like sub community of people that only play like custom songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there was spawned this people discovered FL Studio where people make their own music, and so they just make this insane music, and like then they'd put these insane note charts up against them, and it would just be crazy. But so like, obviously they probably get like 10 or 15 downloads on it, but then the people that play them like just love them, and
right.
So I don't know.
Well, that's why, cool. I think it might be a little different for that reason.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's totally different. But
at the same time, the spirit of the question is still kind of there. I think the problem with StarCraft is there's very little. I hate to put it this way. I was going to originally say there's very little developer help going on because Blizzard's putting in a lot of time, but they're not necessarily doing anything for the longevity of the scene. Like, they're not doing anything to really help the custom scene, which is what made Brood War have any sort of longevity, where those used map settings games, and pretty much what Dota was, which was for, before there was Dota, there were StarCraft 1 custom games that were MOBAs, like the original precursors to MOBAs before Dota. And those were in the StarCraft, those were in StarCraft 1 used map settings arcade. And so it's interesting to see now that Blizzard isn't. It seems like they're just like not really trying to keep that scene alive in any way, which is frustrating. So short of that, I will say that, and I don't mean this in a super pompous way, but if you do get involved in a scene that's very small, but still pretty active, you can sort of make yourself a semi-hero. Like, I don't know how to say this without sounding like an asshole, but I make it a point not just to use the content that people make, but I'm involved in the community at like SC2 Mapster, so people know who I am, and they'll refer to me, and you know what I mean? Like, I have a reputation, and it's not just because I play these things; it's because I interact with the people that make them. It's not just like just like, oh, I'm taking this, you made it, but you don't really deserve any credit, I'm the one who's playing this, which is how some people play games, right? With, making content. But overall, yeah, it's certainly, it's not getting smaller, it's actually getting bigger, but very, very slow. Like, there's never going to be some explosive exponential takeoff anymore. That's just never going to happen. But that doesn't mean that it can't stay alive and continue to grow a little bit. And that's pretty much all I'm shooting for, is if there's, just raise some awareness within the existing StarCraft community. I think there's a huge audience of people that don't know it exists, and that's the biggest thing, is if people knew it existed, it would be more popular.
So in certain communities where it seems like the developers are sort of, moving away from directly supporting these things, there's room for advocates to kind of come in and I don't know, take over, be a part of it.
That's a good way to put it too, yeah. And while it would help more if the developers did more, there's a space for people to come in and make a name for themselves and gain a reputation, which slowly may grow an audience, which could possibly in the future cause the developer to take action because they realize there is an audience for it.
Yeah, that's too bad Blizzard's not more supportive. It seems like their MO right now is sort of like, well, you did come up with this good idea with something like Nostralius, but we'd prefer to be the ones that come up with it, not you guys.
Exactly, and apparently they're meeting,
like kicking the balls.
Yeah, they're meeting with the people who did Nostarius. They're meeting with
They did, yeah, and I guess they're gonna have some announcement. Nostarius people.
Then that should be. I mean, basically, someone else has done all the work. And so Blizzard has to come to some sort of legal agreement if they want to implement it so that the people who made Nostarius... It's an interesting legal situation, right? Because Blizzard could just shut it down and do nothing. Blizzard could take their work, blatantly steal it, be legally okay to do so, but it would be like a PR disaster.
Yeah.
Or they can they could pay the people of Nostarius, bring them onto their team. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
I mean, you see that same kind of thing with like the, remember Black Mesa for Half-Life, where they're like, well, guys, it's been fucking forever. You guys are not using this IP at all, and somehow all of your fans are still like ravenous and super loyal and just want more from, Half-Life. So we're just gonna make this mod and and just see what you guys do.
Yeah.
And surprising that, that got done. And I don't think, they weren't like sued or anything, were they?
I don't think so.
Were they making money off of it, Black Mesa?
Oh, Black Mesa? I don't think Black Mesa had any sort of developer reaction. I'm not sure.
I don't think there was an issue with Black Mesa. They released that on Steam.
It was released on Steam. That's what I was trying to remember. Because that's pretty, if
I think
something was going to happen, that is when it would happen.
Let me look it up. Because I think that Black Mesa... Oh, weird. Apparently it cost $20 to buy the recreation of Black Mesa. I was under the impression that it was free. And
in a situation where a mod using IP from Valve is charging $20 to sell it on Steam.
Yeah, right.
Like that's
also,
kind of crazy unless they've gotten direct permission, which I don't think they ever did.
I mean, if it was greenlit, that means that someone at Valve had to click a button to approve it, right?
Yeah.
Actually, well, I don't know. People can just vote up whatever they want, right? So do they have to eventually?
I'm pretty sure it gets upvoted, and then there's got to be some...
Yeah, there still has to be some sort of approval from Steam.
There's some real garbage that shows up on Greenlight, though. That gets through, so I don't know.
But I would imagine, the only thing that, if they're checking something on Greenlight, it would exclusively be copyright issues.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't want somebody to say, oh, this is Shooter Boy 3, and then it's just actually, literally just, an EXE of, Half-Life 2 or something.
Is that not what kind of what Black Mesa is? It's basically, it's Half-Life 1 remastered using Valve's, it's a Valve game remastered using Valve tools. So
it seems like the Black Mesa people are doing something that they've found that Valve probably looked at this and saw that fans actually really wanted this, but they not in any way wanted to put the work in for it. So they just decided, why don't you guys do it? We'll take a cut, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're getting the full cut. Valve just shits money, so...
I'd be interested to know the real story behind that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Well, that was
It is.
a good question, Brett. That'd be something I'd be interested to talk more at length about. But let's hear what you guys have been doing this week.
So I've been I'll start. I've been playing Street Fighter a lot. The arcade stick that I talked about last week came in the mail on Wednesday, so I've just been kind of familiarizing myself with the new method of play because I mean I've never even really played in an arcade. I mean the last time I was in an arcade was with you, Justin, back like I don't know, last year, and before that it was many years. So learning this new way to play is really, it was jarring at first, but you know the muscle memory is kicking in now. I'm starting to get more accustomed to it, but it's definitely like just relearning it is pretty tough, and especially because I'm not really that great at the game anyways. So it's basically learning two things at once. But
it must be like a little crazy going from being like somewhat competitive to just like having to learn.
Yeah, it is.
All over again.
It's very jarring. It's really discouraging to, you know, I mean everybody can probably do like a fireball with Ryu, but like for like the sort of like the private lobby you can set up and you can have it so that other people can join and whatever. So it's been really fun to kind of relearn the game. I was thinking of like streaming it, but I don't know. Last week I ran into that issue with when I was streaming for you, so I don't know what that whole deal is, but I don't know. I applied to GameStop this week, so that's cool.
It's exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting.
oh.
I like. So I handed my application to the manager, and he's like, "All right, great." Like sticking to training mode, and I'll occasionally play with some friends or like random people in Battle Lounge, which is like the sort of like the private lobby you can set up and you can have it so that other people can join and whatever. So it's been really fun to kind of relearn the game. I was thinking of like streaming it, but I don't know. Last week I ran into that issue with when I was streaming for you, so I don't know what that whole deal is, but I don't know. I applied to GameStop this week, so that's cool.
It's exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting.
oh.
I like. So I handed my application to the manager, and he's like, "All right, great. I'm going on vacation." So I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. I don't need a job like yesterday." So he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to get my assistant manager to do some interviews." I'm like, "Great." So the person I haven't spoken with one time is gonna interview. That's awesome. So I don't know. The land of opportunities out here in Massachusetts.
No, good luck. Hopefully that works out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That was just kind of a side note, but so I played some of the beta of Overwatch, which I'm sure Keith would like to chime in.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm excited about this.
I don't love that game, and I don't know why.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
So there's a lot that I like about it. Like the animation in that game is probably some of the best like facial animation that I've seen in a video game. Like, I mean, when Keith said it looked like a Pixar movie, I'm like, all right, Keith, come on. I'm sure it looks good, but it doesn't, and it really does. Like all the characters are like so cute, and like they have all these weird quirks, and like there's a character May where when you reload, she like lifts her pinky up when she's putting in like the ice gauge because she's got an ice gun. So it's like there's a lot of little details in this game that make the experience really cool. But for some reason, I just am not drawn into playing that game at all. I'll play if somebody says, "Hey, come play," and I'll be like, "All right." And so I play it. It's enjoyable, but I do not foresee myself getting into that game at the level I did of something like Dota.
Call him a cocksucker, Keith. Do it.
I think. Or go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know if the staying power is there for me because I was saying to Justin, I think just as an off topic at some point during the week that I don't know if I'm really willing to learn a whole new cast of characters and how to counter certain things and all this. I think I'm kind of burnt out on that whole idea right now. So I don't know. What do you have to respond?
I mean, I think I kind of understand that. Like, if you just get burnt out on the entire genre, or if you spent, I mean, it's even though it's not really like, you know, Dota level, it's a lot more simple. It's really easy to kind of go in and just play a little bit and whatever. And sure, there's going to be a level where everybody knows the counter for every other character and blah blah blah. But I would compare it more to something like Rocket League, where you can just go in and play, and it's like a 5-minute match and 10-minute, I don't know, and just kind of play around. And I feel like anybody could kind of pick up, one of the characters, and they just have like a couple abilities, and it's pretty easy. I wouldn't say the learning curve is very high at all. I think that there's probably a high skill cap, but it's really easy to just go in, and they'll put you in a game versus other people, and you can be successful. And I assume they've got, a MMR system going on behind the scenes that I don't really know about.
Yeah.
But there's not much I can say if it's just like, well, I'm just not really getting drawn in. I can't really like say, oh, well, this is why, you're wrong. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think it's real easy to just hop in, and, I think it's a real good casual game to play. And of course, you could probably organize a 6-stack of friends and communicate over mic, and do really complicated team compositions and stuff like that, and strategies. But that's not really how I've been playing it, with the exception of when I played with like you and Dan. But I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Maybe that's
I don't
the
know.
issue
I mean, I
for
have
me.
way more fun. I think the way you feel is kind of how I felt about Team Fortress 2. People loved that game, and I just was like, I kind of went in and I played all the heroes, and I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm pretty much done. I don't really feel like an urge to be competitive with people about this, or like to try to get better with any of these characters. I just didn't really get it. And that game went on for, I mean, it's still going. It went on for such a long time, and people would be logging on all the time and trying to win new hats and skins and emotes and stuff like that. And I just didn't really understand. I was like, I don't really see how people can still play this game. Like there's like a couple game modes. For the longest time, there was like, for the longest time, was there just 1 or maybe 2 game modes? Mm-hmm. And I really, in 6 characters or something, I don't know how people could play that for so long. But this seems like that, but I feel like, but with a lot more variety. You got 20-something characters and several game modes. And I'd like to see more game modes, but sort of right out of the gate. So it feels like there's a lot there to play with. And so I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's just kind of cool to jump in and, like you would in Rocket League, and just kind of each match kind of feels like a individual, self-contained kind of competitive experience. And then when, you're done, you just put it down, but it feels good to go back to.
Yeah, I think maybe my issue is I was kind of making it out to be something more than it really is. Like, I don't know. I pictured it being a little more like, I don't know. I don't want to say hardcore, but I don't know. I thought it'd be a little more serious, I guess.
Really?
And, like, competitive, but it's not really that competitive. And I could see how people could get competitive about it, but I don't know if I foresee, something like Rocket League, like we were saying. Like, I don't know if anybody saw that would become some crazy esport, but now it's kind of become something like that. I don't really foresee that with Overwatch, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
I think Overwatch has a lot of checks in there, though. Like, the fact that you can switch who you're playing as, like, mid-match, might cause... unless you can obviously, I'm assuming, change the rules in some fashion, but I feel like that would be a big stopping block.
Game modes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like a competitive scene would require some, like, very explicit rules on maps that is not the default.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely, it's definitely part of what they're trying to do differently. And there's certainly a lot of games that come out that are designed to be a competitive esport and just fall flat on their face. But I don't know. I think it would be hard for me to kind of look at, Overwatch and what they've got going for them, and then look at like something like, Dota or League or some other sort of successful esport game and say, oh, this is why it works in Dota or League, but it, doesn't work in Overwatch. I don't think they really have something that Overwatch doesn't have. They've got more heroes, but I would say that, Overwatch, it seems like they're putting a ton of effort into polish and balance, and and I see that game showing up on the front page of Reddit like every day. So in terms of that, I would say it's got a real shot compared to a lot of other games out there. And it's, kind of trying to find its niche. It's like, well, we're like kind of like a MOBA because we have all these abilities, but we're kind of just like a competitive, first-person shooter, and we're trying to be really accessible.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of the niche that they're going for. So we'll see, but in the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I do agree, like, staying power-wise, you kind of wonder, like, am I really going to want to play, these same matches over and over and over and over and over again, like these same heroes, these same matches, whatever. But I did that with Dota for a year, and it's not really a criticism that I can't level at any of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, it's just, well, we got this many heroes. It's a single map, a single game, game type, basically. And it's just... So I assume I can only assume that's what they're shooting for, but it'll take a while to see whether that works.
Well, it's interesting how you brought up accessibility, and Darius in the chat just asked a simple question: why Dota and League are so popular? Simple question, complex answer, right?
Great question, because
it's a good question, but I mean, I don't want to go too deep into that specifically, but I think it really does come down to accessibility in general. And when you look at something. Well, if you look at Blizzard in general, you have to think of what they're coming off of. They have a slew of, their biggest esport recently was StarCraft, right? And because of its inaccessibility in terms of the complexity of the game, you have to think of their perspective. So they're, I think, trying to make something. Maybe they're too heavy-handed. Maybe from Brett's perspective, I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but maybe what I get from what you're saying is you think it's so accessible that it's not competitive. And I think Blizzard had a reason to want to go overboard, but maybe they've gone too overboard with making it not competitive enough because they have a game that they realized was too competitive and too complex, and it pushed everyone away to more accessible games.
Yeah, that's possible. It seems like they want to be more accessible. I think Heroes of the Storm is a good example of that too.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to tackle the MOBA genre, but they didn't want to do it in the same way. So they kind of did their own thing. It just seems like they're doing their own thing again. And I think it's not like I don't like the game. I think it's actually a really great game. I just I don't know. Usually when I get really hooked on a game, I want to play it for hours and hours. But I found myself I played like a half an hour, and I think I'm done for now. Which was surprising to me because it sounded like people just love this game.
Mm-hmm. That's arguably a good thing though, is being able to play in small segments.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if that'll make me want to shell $40-$60 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't know. I would even consider still buying it when it cocomes out because if there's so many people that I know that are getting it anyways. So I don't know. That's another part of it.
I kind of think
it
that
plays nice, it feels nice.
$20, $30, maybe $40 is the right price point for this. Not, on consoles it's just $60, right?
Yeah.
Is it $60 on console?
Yeah, I think so.
It's $40 for the digital PC.
yeah, something like that. I don't know. I know there's a way that you can be boxed into paying $60 for it. It's not like a $60 game experience, even in terms of the effort that they put into it. You look and there's a lot of balance and polish that's put in, which seems like it's kind of weird because you're like, why is this so polished? Why is this so they're putting out little mini Pixar shorts, a bunch of them for the launch of the game that talks about all this story stuff that doesn't really have any bearing on the game itself because it's just an online competitive shooter. So they say all these things oh, Overwatch, the people, you were a superhero group and people stopped trusting you, and so we broke up, but we're going to get back together to fight this new threat. But then when you start the game, it's just I mean, it's just that, I mean, they don't limit the teams based on your factions. You're not really trying to accomplish anything. It's just checkpoint based. So
Yeah.
you kind of look at that polish that they add to it, and it just seems like it was all sort of tacked on after the fact. Like they had kind of a good, like a cool game, a cool, simple game that they want to like tack on this other stuff to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, you made, 6 maps and 20 character models with animations, and then you sort of balanced them together.
Yeah.
And that is what you've built. And that's not to take away from what they've done, because I think it's very fun, and I will probably play this during the podcast. But, you could say the same thing about Dota or League, but they're also kind of free. So
Yeah, totally.
they're accessible in a different way. And the fact that, hey, just download it.
Yeah, it's funny because Team Fortress 2 exists where everything is unlocked and it's free. Dota exists where everything is unlocked and it's free. Yeah. And, League doesn't follow that model, but they still make gangbusters with money, and they just make so much money. So I don't know. I mean, maybe their thought is that, oh, this is a first-person shooter, so we're allowed to charge money for this. And also, I'd like to add that I looked at Best Buy, and they sell all new games for people who are out of the country. Best Buy only lists the Origin edition for the consoles, which is a $60 copy, and it comes with a bunch of optional skins.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And also stuff for like Heroes of the Storm and Diablo and World of Warcraft and Hearthstone, like little cosmetic bullshit stuff. But so you can't buy the $40 version, which PC people can buy, which comes with none of that extra bullshit and just the game. And so that
what would happen if you went on like
sucks.
If you went on the PlayStation Store or something? I wonder if you could download it for $40.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I'll check that too while we're here. But I mean, if we want to move on with the discussion.
I mean, one thing I would imagine, just real quick to comment on that, is, for the $60 price point, is you're paying for the base game, but you should be at least paying for constant support of the game.
Yeah.
Constant updates. It shouldn't just be a game that's released and then just left the way it is. Because if that's the case, then yeah, that would be really unfortunate.
Blizzard does add, I mean, their follow-up with games is kind of unmatched, I guess. Like,
recently, it didn't used to be like that.
It didn't used to be, but recently it's better. I mean, you do see that kind of thing in free-to-play games like, Dota, but and this game also has a store that they can make money on. So,
does it?
I'm sure.
I was gonna say, if you're paying $60 up front, having microtransactions is kind of shitty.
I know that you get those loot boxes. I'm wondering if you'll ever be able to like buy a whole bunch of them.
I could be wrong, but I think it just assumed like it's gotta, right? Like you get this currency in the game, you get currency, and so you would have to be able to spend that on something. And I imagine it's a thing where it's like, I imagine it's a thing where like, hey, get 1,000 currency for $10.
Right, and also the only version that's listed on the PSN store is the Overwatch Origins edition, which is $60. So that sucks. I think that really sucks. Now that I noticed that, I would much rather pay $40. Yeah, but I don't know.
It's just not, and you're like, you're already finding skins and stuff in the game. Like, don't. I don't know.
Yep.
Don't spend your money on like a couple skins and.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Isn't that kind of insulting to console players that PC players have the option to buy just the game and not all of these optional skins that they're forced to buy on consoles? That sucks.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But.
So I mean, it's tough. It's a really, really fun game. I say it has significantly more staying power than Team Fortress 2, which is a game that people played for a really, really long time, and I'm having a ton of fun with it. I would say don't spend more than $40 on it, and I mean, you might even choose to wait and spend less on it, but it's a Blizzard game, so don't hold your breath.
Yeah. I mean, they do pretty much give away Diablo 3 and StarCraft 2 like every week now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Really, really cheap.
I think you can get Diablo 3 with the expansion for like $20 like regularly now. So.
I should probably just go ahead and do that because I'd like to play Diablo 3 again.
Oh, do you not have the Reaper of Souls?
I don't. I know I never got Reaper of Souls. I have 2 copies of.
Oh,
I have
it's
a
way
PS3
better
version of it.
Yeah, it is.
And I have a. I mean, I played with the Loot 2.0, but I played for a long time. And at this point, I mean, it's probably like 4 years ago. I played through online, with the auction house and everything. And then I played through on. I got a review copy for PS3 when it came out for that.
Oh yeah.
And I played that with Jen local co-op for a while, and now it's like, well, there's a PS4 version that I could get. There's a Reaper of Souls. If I wanted to get Reaper of Souls and play that, I don't know, maybe I should just buy it again. But then I think the main thing holding me back is like, I'm not gonna buy this game for a third fucking time.
Well, if you ever got it again on PC, I'd play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy
Hey,
to too.
if I see it with the expansion for $20 or less, I will buy it.
Okay.
I think that's the line there.
Keith, you got anything you want to add to the what we've been playing discussion this week?
Well, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. I like.
What's that?
Well, it's this game that Blizzard's put out, right? And it's not. So, my main issue with it is, so I'm having a ton of fun. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's kind of cool. Like the characters Jen will play with and do really well, and like I'll be good with totally different characters, and so I feel like it's really well balanced in most ways, and then there's just like 1 or 2 characters that I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. So I don't know. So my main issue is that I feel as though there's a character called Bastion, and if they just fixed him, I feel like I would be happy with it balance wise. But and people online will argue with me. I mean, I don't even need to get into it, but he just does, so he can turn into a turret, and he does way more damage. He does like the damage by a factor of 5, more than anybody else in the game when he's turreted up like that. So in a situation where every single game mode is a defense point, then he just does that, and I mean, there'll be 2 Bastions on the other team, and they will always get to play the game, and they will always be at the top of the kill list. And if you say that online, people say like, oh, it's really easy to counter him. You just use Hanzo. You just use Genji. You just use Pharah or something. One of the characters has rockets. One of the characters can briefly reflect bullets back at people. One of them, is like a sniper. But it just, I mean, I've tried all that, and it works sometimes. But at the same time, most of the characters in the game are ignorable. I mean, you do not have to change how you play because there is a Genji on the other team, because there's a McCree or a Pharah, or you could just rattle off characters, and yeah, some of them are really good. You don't have to change how you play because they have this character on the team. Bastion, it feels like multiple people on your team have to fundamentally change how they're playing the game just to counter him, and by the time that's happened, you've wasted just minutes, and he's gotten a bunch of kills. And if you're playing in a pub, there's a great, if he's any good and you're playing in a pub, there's a great chance that you're not even going to be able to do it. Yeah. So I'm real butthurt about it, and I post on Reddit a ton and just argue with people because I can't help myself.
I mean, do you think the solution is making him less that way, or do you think the solution is maybe making more heroes like him where you are supposed to change the way you play?
It's a tough question. I mean, there are a couple other heroes like that where you will have, Reinhardt maybe, like he's a super tanky guy with a big shield, and so maybe him, but I think he needs to be nerfed in some way, and I got to think about like the best way to do it.
Excuse me.
Because when it's a situation where it's really just the one character that's the issue, I don't necessarily see like changing all the other characters as the solution. But I don't know exactly how you would do it. Just reducing his life significantly when he's turreted for him, I guess, I think would be good, because he can also heal himself.
Yeah.
In the beta he had a shield in front of him, like a permanent shield that regenerated, and that was absolutely obscene. So they got rid of that. But they also, now he can rotate a full 100 or a full 360 degrees instead of just like 90 degrees or something. So they kind of buffed him in a different way. And there's not, I mean, and the thing is, when you tell people, they say like, no, you can counter him with this person, and you're like, counterable does not mean not overpowered.
Yeah, I know.
So that's kind of the annoying thing. It's just like, no, like, if you switch to Genji and use his bullet reflectability, then you can kill him sometimes. You're like, okay, well, all the other characters in this game are completely ignorable.
I think it's a problem because
I can
there's
understand
just
that.
one character that's like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because just because you can counter him, like, if you don't have to counter anybody else, but you have to counter him specifically, then I think that's a problem.
That's the definition of overpowered, you know, if they are better than other heroes, and, you know, so, I don't know. And the thing is, like, if they're kind of noob, you know, bastions, then you can do a better job of taking them out. And if they're really good, then they're better at, you know, avoiding these kinds of, you know, counters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say just making him weaker. I mean, I like reducing his damage, or like making him take more damage when he's in turret form or something.
Yeah, and give him some sort of trade-off besides being immobile, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he can be non-immobile, and then he's just sort of like a guy carrying an assault rifle.
So we're talking about...
We done went and talked about Overwatch the whole time.
We talked about Overwatch. The hell.
No, that's okay. We started late. What I was going to say, you know, we've been talking about, you know, Blizzard a lot and some other companies that have been generally receptive to their fans and seem to at least be trying. So the flip side of that, let's talk about Nintendo. And, you know, some people may disagree with that statement, but Brett, you brought up the good idea of talking about Nintendo this week because the NX was announced for next March. And I used to really strongly pull for Nintendo, and I really don't anymore. I don't think they really deserve any more leeway than they've already gotten. They've had years and years, and I feel like they blew it, specifically with the Wii U.
Well, yeah, so the Wii sucked.
The Wii or the Wii U?
The Wii. It was a commercial success, but I think that console is a heap of garbage. I don't think that there's one excellent game on that console. I'm sorry. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is an excellent game.
Are you crazy?
The
Metroid Prime trilogy?
That's 3 games that were literally out on other consoles, except for the one Metroid Prime 3, which is the worst one.
That's true. That's a good point. Those were on GameCube.
And, like, I mean, you could argue that those controls are actually really good for that game. But all I'm saying is that console, I think, is ass. Wii U has fantastic games, but was a colossal failure in terms of sales. Like, nobody still knows what a fucking Wii U is. Like, if I went and said to my mom, what's the difference between the Wii and the Wii U? She'd probably say, I don't know, the controller is a tablet now. Like, that's about it. Like, no, it just has no, I don't know. It's about as stupid as naming your console the Xbox One. Like, so the fact that, like, I don't remember when the Wii U came out. I think it came out a year before the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One.
It did.
And now they're announcing a new console that's supposed to come out next March, which is crazy to me. That seems like it's way too soon.
Well, I mean, they announced the Wii U way ahead of Xbox One and PS4, and then blew any advantage they had of that by not releasing any good games in that time period before those other two were announced.
And bizarre.
Yeah, I know. And Brett, I have to disagree. I thought the Wii was way more, had way better titles than the Wii U.
Ugh.
I feel like the Wii U, they had an okay system, but they just threw away their opportunities with it. I don't know. Overall, I think that Nintendo's choices are not the best. I think a lot of the things that they offer with their home consoles are geared towards the Asia-Pacific region, when in fact the Asia-Pacific region is all about mobile gaming these days. And North America, the one region that still does actually buy in bulk home consoles, are the people that do not want a lot of the weird things that they have with their home consoles. So I'm really curious to see what the NX is going to offer.
Yeah, I mean, I have a strong feeling that it will probably have some mobile implementation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of
It's
people were
got to because
theorizing that it'd be like half and half or something, you know?
yeah,
That's what
they're
they
now
try to
getting
do
into
with
the
the
mobile
Wii U,
market.
though.
Yeah, I mean that's a little. I don't even get the Wii U at times, because you've got that tablet screen, but like, what's the point if you can only go 20 feet away from the thing? Not
Very
even.
few games took
Like,
advantage of that.
Yep.
yeah, no games take advantage of it like the 3DS does. I don't know if they were just trying to make like a home console version of like a DS or something like that, but it just doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, I don't. I like the console. I think because I think it has a lot of really good original games too, like Mario 3D World. Uh, there's some other ones, but so
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 3D World was great. Smash Brothers was great. Tropical Freeze
yeah,
was pretty good.
Tropical Freeze. There, people
Mario
I mean,
Kart.
Mario Kart
But
was
other
good.
than that, like, what other titles? What else?
Yeah, I don't know. I personally think that they put out their best iterations of their titles on the Wii U, though. Like, I think that 3D World is my personal favorite Mario game, and then Smash
Really?
Brothers is, yeah, I think so. And then Smash Brothers is definitely the best iteration of that. Mario Kart was definitely the best iteration of that.
Interesting.
Like, nostalgia aside, I don't know. I think they did an excellent job with the software. They really hit a good stride with all of their first party titles, and Tropical Freeze was a great game too. But I don't know what are they gonna. And so Zelda was also slated for the March 2017 slot, along with a Wii U release for that with the NX. But now apparently Zelda's listed as just 2017, not March 2017. So I don't know what that's all about. Also, that game is just getting delayed to shit. I thought it was supposed to come out in like 2015 or something.
I think the NX probably threw it off, and now they have to develop it for 2 consoles.
I don't know. It's just crazy.
I mean, I'm interested in seeing what the NX is. I feel like how I feel is that Wii U pretty much just, the best games on the Wii U were just their standard fare. Like, okay, one of these games is going to come out on every console, which is usually the case, but they usually come out with some more IP than that, sort of innovate a little bit more. I think that the main features, like, Wii Sports, right? That was on the Wii. Wii U doesn't really have something that I think really is equivalent to that. Maybe that was supposed to be Nintendo Land, which is fun.
Nintendo Land is great, yeah.
But that is a fun game, but it was overlooked by far compared to like how Wii Sports did. And then you look at the Zelda thing, and I hear people say, so people say things like they'll be annoyed that Zelda is coming out on the Wii U and the NX, right? And the response is like, you're mad because other people get to play the game too? You're a fucking asshole, dude. It's not that. It's that, hey, I bought this game just for Zelda. I bought this system just because I wanted to play Zelda.
Yep.
And now you're telling me that I basically wasted my money. Thanks. That's
Yep.
That's why people are frustrated. And it's weird that people don't understand that.
That's apologists. I mean, I think maybe those people just have the money to blow.
I don't know. And I mean, a lot of people bought them for a lot of other games, but Zelda is I don't know. It's Zelda and Mario, but they're the most important properties, and for a lot of people, it's the only game that they care about on those systems.
I think that's why I'm fed up with Nintendo. I feel like I've given them so much slack, and then they just sort of just kept ruining, not really ruining per se, but I just realized I'm like, the only reason I care about Nintendo is because of these IPs. And first off, they stopped making games for my favorite one, which is Metroid, and the most recent Metroid was a fucking disaster. and that was my favorite one. And then Skyward Sword, which I was thoroughly unimpressed with visually. I just thought it was terrible. And I'm not a video game critic by any means. I'm not like a journalist, but I played the game and I just didn't enjoy it. And that's really all it came down to for me. And again, they kind of bombed with my favorite IP, which was Metroid. Mario is the only one, and it's just rehashed. It's the same thing over and over. Why do I need to buy a new console to get another Mario game when I could just replay one from 5 years ago that it basically feel like a new game because I haven't played it for so long. And I guess I'm tired of giving Nintendo the benefit of the doubt just because they used to make really good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, the best thing that you can really say about them right now is, hey, they are the people that own all of these IPs.
I don't know. They've always had the most backwards, idea of what's gonna be good for them. Like the whole debacle with online play, right? Like back when Xbox Live was coming out and they had the GameCube, and there was no online for the GameCube, and so. And on the Wii, it was totally half-baked and awful, and it's still barely functional.
Mm-hmm.
They're only just starting to make it so that it works in parity with the 3DS, and you have the same, you have the same username, but they're not doing any cross-buy stuff. I have to re-buy an emulated version of A Link to the Past on my 3DS, even though I bought it on my Wii U. That's just so backwards to me. I don't know whose loyalty they're trying to get by, just swindling like that. It's totally fucked.
And that's the thing, you're loyal because of their IPs, and it feels like they spat in your face when it comes to your money. And another thing, I mean, even if you're totally sold on all the IPs, and I am, but you have to realize this is a console that you're paying $200, $300, maybe $400 for, depending on how much the NX is. And at most you're going to get 5 to 6 games. What kind of console is that? If you get a PS4 or you get an Xbox One, you generally would expect you're going to get at least 10 titles over 2 to 3 years. And Wii U offers at most 5 to 6 good ones.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what was the gaming lifespan of the Wii U? I mean, because I know that it's maybe a little bit, on the overestimate end, but a lot of people say, hey, these consoles all have a 10-year life cycle, right? Wii U is, I mean, the Wii and the Wii U basically came and went in the period of time that the PS3 was still. That's not totally true. That's not fair, but I mean, they aren't making any games for the Wii U anymore. Which is just, I mean, they're not, because at E3. At E3, they're not showing anything except for Zelda.
They're showing
and the
Zelda.
only reason they're doing that is because they've made an unbreakable promise that this is going to come out on the Wii U. So that's the only thing they're showing, is they can't show anything from the NX yet because they want to keep it under info about the system under wraps. So that tells you how long they have not been working on anything for Wii U, because it's a full game development life cycle. They're ready to show Zelda and nothing else.
Yep.
For the Wii U, I mean, nothing else. So that's how long they haven't been working on anything for the Wii U for. Yep. And that game is that system's not that old. And
it's actually a good point. It's
if what you have is good IPs, you should be a game development studio.
Yes.
Not a system development
exactly.
Studio.
If they were, they'd be killing it. Everybody would be saying, oh my god, this company just keeps putting out amazing games, but they have the burden of being hardware producers too, which they just totally fuck up. The Wii U only launched in 2012, and so it's not even 4 years old now.
Yeah,
it was in November 2012.
It should have been.
That's nuts. I've never seen a console turn around like that since the Dreamcast. And it's crazy because they still sell that shit for $300. And they're basically saying, hey, we're coming to E3, and we're going to give you a good reason to never purchase a Wii U. And yeah, you still have... Okay, so there's still, over a year for us to be selling hardware, but please don't, because the only game that's coming to the Wii U will be coming to our new thing, which is presumably going to be no more than $300, or else they're fucking brain dead. Oh man, it's just crazy.
I think you both, they both had really good points there. I mean, the biggest thing for me is oh, but we're showing Zelda, it's gonna be Zelda, and it's yeah, I'm excited for Zelda, but is that all you fucking got? Is that really the only fucking thing I have to be excited about?
Crazy.
Why would I buy your $300, $400, maybe $500 console if that's all you have to show me?
I know, and it's 2 years ago this system had no games. Still,
yeah.
It's, every once in a while, they've got a Smash Bros, a Mario. Mario Maker. Mario Maker was a huge game. It's all these games come out, but we've played them all before,
Yeah.
They're not, revolutionary experiences or anything. They are what we expect them to be, but they're very well made. They should just make software.
It should just be a software studio.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's easy for us to say that, but like I'm like not voting correctly with my wallet because we still have a Wii U and we enjoy when I go to Jen's we'll play Smash Brothers and we'll play Mario Kart and those are awesome, but it's like 2 games.
Yep.
It's like and those are kind of the only ones we've ever played. I mean, Jen's played I think Bayonetta on there, which is playable on other systems a long time ago. And I don't know. It's just like that's just a couple games. It's like nowhere near the amount of games. Like I can take several other studios that just make software, and I've played more games by them in the past couple years than I have games that I've played total for the Wii U.
Yep.
So if you're wondering whether they should be a software company or not, that's why. But because their games, their IPs are so good, they get away with selling hardware too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the DS, the 3DS, those were pretty successful though. I mean, they're definitely the preeminent mobile game system developer. But the only competition is PlayStation Vita. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're in Asia. There's an Asian company, and in Asia, the biggest. I mean, mobile is huge. Like even bigger than NA, like by a significant margin. They have tournaments for mobile games in
like
China.
Clash of the Clans or whatever.
Yeah, they have tournaments for those things. So that's what I said. They're making products for a North American market based on what an Asian market wants. That's just kind of how I view Nintendo as a company these days.
Yeah, I appreciate that they are. Really the only company left that really emphasizes co-op still. But that's also just, I'm sure a lot of people would describe that as backwards thinking, as we describe a lot of what the other things they do as backwards thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I at least enjoy that part.
Yeah. If they told me when I was purchasing my Wii U, by the way, when you buy this Wii U, the next Zelda that you're mostly buying it for is going to come out for the next Nintendo console in 4 years. I wouldn't have bought a Wii U.
Yeah, would you still have bought?
I would not have. I could have done without. I would have done without Mario 3D World and Smash Brothers because, like I said, they're not unique experiences. They're just very well refined.
Because I gotta say, when we bought a Wii U, I was expecting a Zelda in under a year.
Yep, me too. Pretty pathetic, honestly. There's not been a new Metroid game in however long. But
oh god, that last one! I'm still upset about it.
Well, Other M.
Yeah, Other M. Don't even say it. Don't even say the name, Brett.
That doesn't even count. I never even touched that, honestly, so I can't speak to it. But it looks bad.
It was really disappointing. They just ruined. I feel like it took everything that made Metroid fun and just gone. I don't know. It doesn't ruin the series or anything, but I just wish it never happened because I want a Metroid game. I want a new and fun Metroid game. And it seems like, well, they're like, well, that wasn't very good, so we're just not going to make anymore. I don't know.
There is a Metroid first-person shooter multiplayer game coming out for the 3DS if you're interested in that, because everybody wanted that. That's what everybody asked for.
Really?
No.
No, I mean, like, is that really coming out? I know nobody wants
like
that shit.
Metroid Federation Forge.
People want a Metroid game that is motherfucking Metroidvania. That's what people want.
It's a Wii U game apparently. Metroid Prime Federation Force. A Wii U version was considered. Sorry. So you play as these like robotic Metroid things. Not Metroid. Sorry. Whatever Samus is wearing. You play as like robot versions of that. It's like a multiplayer shooter.
Huh.
Looks like absolute dog shit. I remember watching it at a direct, and it just like the third thing for searching this game: petition for cancellation of Metroid Prime Federation Force.
It's a Metroid. They dragged the Metroid Prime title into this.
Yeah, only 1,003 signatures needed That's it, guys. There's already 23,997.
Yikes. I feel bad because
So,
we're just shitting on Nintendo. I feel like I was the force of complaining here, but I'm just disappointed.
I love their games. Yeah, I don't know. It's just annoying business practices.
Yep. They've always been annoying about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's time to stop. I mean, what are you supposed to say? Because they are the ones that make Nintendo games that are so great. So you gotta buy their consoles. I mean, maybe that's their idea. It's like, we make these great games. We make shitloads of money anyways. So why don't we just keep making these shitty consoles half-baked? People will complain, sure. But, we make good games, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's a really good way to put it, though, is like their consoles are half-baked. That's what it feels like these days. They're half-baked consoles. They have a gimmick. And they're like, well, we've got motion controls. It'll be good. And that's it.
In the GameCube, we got these really tiny discs. It's crazy. Yeah, great.
You can easily carry it over to your friend's house. And I guess maybe around that time period that was fine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you saw everybody carrying their GameCube by the handle with all the wires dangling, dragging on the street. Yeah, that's what we all saw, dude. Come on.
Yeah, and the games that best take advantage of those features are, given at launch with the console, like
the best thing
Wii Sports.
The best thing the GameCube had going for it was when you held the start button when you turned it on, and it would like make the Donkey Kong noises. Yeah. But anyways, enough about Nintendo.
Yeah. Hicks has a good point. I mean, just to round it off, he says Nintendo is alive because of past glory. That's a great ending statement for Nintendo.
Yep.
So our anecdote for tonight was brought to us by Overlord Moo in the chat. Frequent viewer and commenter, funny guy or girl. I think guy. I'm not sure. I've never met them in person. You can confirm in the chat, Overlord. Sorry for dwelling so much on this one thing. So about Overlord Moo. Was describe why you like a movie that is generally considered bad. So what's your favorite bad movie?
All right. I like the first Fast and the Furious.
Like you said, you're like, yeah, I fucking said it. That's right.
Yeah, all right. People have been getting on my back about it my whole life. No, so I mean, that everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody knows, but it's pretty widely known that series was like pretty reinvigorated with the fourth one called Fast and Furious. The first ones before that weren't really critically acclaimed, but after that they actually started to like become actually good films, especially the 5 and 6 or 6 and 7, I don't know. But I love the first one because I always used to watch it with my brother, and it's probably because of like nostalgic purposes that I like it so much. But it's not so much an action movie as it is like focused on just like illegal racing, which I thought was really cool at the time. They've got all these tricked out like cars that I would always try to make my cars look like when I was playing like Need for Speed or something. I always wanted them to have like the neon lights under them and stuff and like just look really cool. So I don't know. I really like that movie. I think it's pretty bad.
I think it's pretty bad.
I can still watch it though. Like I was saying to you before the podcast, I'm pretty like, I don't know, I'm pretty selective about which films I'm going to watch because I don't have a very good attention span. So if I'm going to spend 2 hours doing something, I kind of want it to be like good. So I usually check reviews and stuff, but that's an whatever, an outlier.
An ex.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Thanks, Dad.
Mine is The Mummy Returns.
Oh, that movie's great, though.
I love that film. I think it's great.
So stupid, but it's amazing.
I think it's panned because of its really poor CG effects.
Yeah.
And I'll agree, it's bad.
That was the first DVD I ever owned.
Nice.
The Mummy Returns.
Yeah. I think that movie's really good. It's like constant action. I think the music is really well done, and it flows really well with the action sequences. I just think that every time I watch it, even as an adult, I just like, man, this was like a pretty good film, and it's unfortunate that they just like, they ruined it with really weird CG at the end with The Rock superimposed on a giant scorpion man hybrid.
That was the best part. No, that was like absolutely terrible CG, that The Rock. Oh my god.
But that's mine. I don't know. I have nothing else to really say unless someone wants to fucking fight about it. But I thought The Mummy Returns was great. The first one was okay, but I thought the second one, again, it was like constant action, like when they were fighting in the house and on the bus and stuff. It was great. That shit was great.
Yeah. Oh, the bus scene. That was awesome.
Oh, I just thought of another one.
Also, who's the actress? She looked totally different, and she was way hotter in the second movie.
Oh, Rachel?
Rachel Wise.
Wise, yeah.
She is hot.
She was, yeah, but in the first film, she looked like 100% different, and then in the second film, she was looking real good.
Yeah. Did she get like, I don't know if she get plastic surgery or what?
I don't think so.
You know what's a great, not great movie?
What?
The Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes.
Because, like, everything looks so wrong in that movie. Like, literally everything is, like, so bad looking. Like, the Goombas are, like, these reptilian, like... Oh, man.
I mean, not only does it look bad, it's like...
It's so terrible.
It's just bad.
But I love watching that movie, like, once every 6 years or something.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. That's one of those, though, like, it's so bad that it's good. I'm trying to think of ones, like, people just think are shitty, but I'm just like, nah, that shit's great.
I mean, I definitely enjoyed, I enjoyed Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that was actually pretty well received by critics, too.
I didn't know how well that was reviewed. I mean, it was definitely higher than the other ones, but I certainly it was like a spectacle, you know. It was silly, but I enjoyed that well enough.
We can no longer be friends.
Rush Hour is a real stupid movie.
Yeah!
I love it so much. It's just like super entertaining. I feel like in the same way, like, you know, a Mummy Returns or something would be.
Oh, I really like Batman versus Superman.
Oh, I saw Civil War yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Oh.
2 days ago. It was actually pretty good. I liked it.
Nice.
It was a fun film. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It was nice.
What was
Yeah,
it?
it looks good.
Civil War, third Captain America movie.
Yeah. It's definitely like more brutal than the other ones, I would say.
I liked I didn't see Winter Soldier, but from what I know of Winter Soldier, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Man, I was like this close to just like spoiling something as if it was nothing.
Yeah, it came out like 3 days ago.
I literally saw it earlier today.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, so don't say anything. I'm
Yeah, I don't
anxious to see it.
Hicks
I'd say
Rabbit
it's, like,
agrees.
pretty brutal. I had like a prediction about the movie that didn't turn out to be true.
I bet I know what that is.
But yeah, it was
Is
it was
in
cool.
line with many of the common predictions.
I definitely like went in being, you know, like Team Cap, Team Iron Man. I definitely was like went in feeling like I was going to be on one side, and then by the end of the movie I was on the other side.
Yep.
It's like, boy, that guy's an asshole.
I liked it. Yeah, and you know, they made the conflict semi-believable because it's, you know, at the beginning, and this is in the trailers, mind you. I'm not spoiling anything. That's all like, oh, you know, superhero regulation. But by the end of the movie, it's about something very different, and I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
that's good.
It had
I'm sick of superhero regulation, like I said.
Oh, should we really be superheroes?
Ugh.
We get it.
I was bitching about that to my friend the other day. He was laughing. It's like, oh yeah, because we walk into, sorry, this is totally tangential, but we walk into Best Buy and there's these Superman statues, and I'm like talking about how shitty he is as Superman, and he just cries the whole time because he's so burdened by all these awesome powers. Oh my god, I'm just so powerful. My only weaknesses are fucking kryptonite and moral integrity. Oh. So that's my feelings on that. I'm still salty about Superman versus Batman. But anyways,
Let's go through some of these in the
thing
chat.
One thing about Civil War was like part of the justification for the regulation was they like threw out a statistic that like it's funny. They're just like, oh, as the superheroes have emerged, a lot more attacks have happened. So it invites, and it was just like, it was funny because like it did make me think like, oh well, in that case maybe they should be regulated. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, they just like made that statistic up just because they like needed a reason.
I like that though because it was really self-referential. You know what I mean, it's like, yeah, it's true. Like, if ever since the first Iron Man movie, because Robert Downey Jr. did a great job with that film, suddenly there are a bunch of supervillains.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat.
People talking about The Room in the chat.
The
earlier.
Room. That's another
like
one where it's like, it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, that's a pretty famous, so bad it's good movie.
Shout out to Hicks Rabbit who said Starship
share that.
Troopers. I really like that film too.
Nice one. It's actually good and has some interesting themes, and it's super entertaining, if silly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Tara said it's a ballet movie. What's it called? Center Stage? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, my brother says that's like the worst movie he's ever seen.
She shouts from the other room, we have to watch it.
I've literally had my brother, like his ex-girlfriend a long time ago, loved Center Stage, and he's like, if your girlfriend, you'd see a preview for it or something, and you'd be like, oh, that movie's going to get bad reviews. But it's actually good and has some interesting themes, and it's super entertaining, if silly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Tara said it's a ballet movie. What's it called? Center Stage? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, my brother says that's like the worst movie he's ever seen.
She shouts from the other room, we have to watch it.
I've literally had my brother, like his ex-girlfriend a long time ago, loved Center Stage, and he's like, if your girlfriend ever asks you to watch Center Stage with her, just say no. So I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't give you, an answer about whether that's good or not.
Jupiter Ascending, I have not seen it. I think Mila Kunis is in that film.
So I'd probably like it.
Yeah, I'd probably like it just based on that.
Is a big Mila Kunis fan? She's a pretty good actress.
Oh, yeah. But that's a good list. The people are bringing up pretty good ones here. I'll give God, people deserve credit where credit's due. You know what I'm saying? I'm failing very much at this level, so I think it's time to stop. I've been blown up a few too many times.
Uncharted 4 comes out this week.
What's that? I'm just kidding. I know what that is.
Some weird series.
Some weird series.
Can proudly say I will not be playing that. But
there was an advertisement for that in before Civil War, and Tara actually asked, she's like, "Is this a game?" That's how good it looks in the trailer.
Yeah, it's definitely a good-looking game. I don't know. I just that series didn't click with me, so I'm gonna avoid it for now. Uncharted 4.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it.
It's getting nutso reviews, like 10s everywhere, 9.5s. Yeah, I don't know. The series hasn't clicked with me, so I'll wait. I'll play it eventually.
It's definitely one of those things where like, and I think I finally like figured out the reason why I'm not like the gameplay's not necessarily the most fun thing sometimes, and it's that thing where like in a quest to be cinematic, they like. Your character, like, you hit backwards. In Dark Souls, you instantly turn around on a dime, which is slightly unrealistic, but you want to feel like it has responsive controls. Nathan Drake jogs around in a cinematic little circle.
Yeah, you're not.
I feel like it's kind of how Witcher is, too, where you're like, yeah, it looks nice, but at what cost? You know?
At what cost?
Do that. Just turn around on a dime.
It's like with The Witcher 3, you're fumbling with the controls, but like with Uncharted, like the controls aren't the problem. You're just like fumbling with Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, because it's like not like it's poorly made. It's just like the way that it is made is in a way that you need to sort of fumble over it because it's supposed to be realistic. But I don't know.
Well, if one of you plays it this week, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Figured I'd give our listeners something to look forward to.
Yeah, finally, God.
For once.
Yeah, we don't give them anything. All right, well, I'm out of here. It was nice chatting with everybody, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend, short weekend, before going back to work or school or what have you.
Yeah.
It's been a terrific podcast.
It has.
Enjoy your Monday.
I won't. Thank you.
Make them the best.